Guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Morgan, and this is Where, What, Why Wednesday, where we talk about different cases or conspiracy theories that interest us. Today we are going to be discussing the disappearance of Morgan Nick. Generally with these cases, I'm going to discuss what happened, the investigation, and then theories, but today is going to be a little bit different. Fortunately, this case is still open, so there's not a ton of information, and while there are some theories that involve the family, I'm not going to discuss those out of respect for the family. The theories I have today are pretty much based on law enforcement. There's not really any. It's just basically one theory. They have not released a ton of information in regards to Morgan's case because it is still open in the state of Arkansas. Morgan Nick was from Alma, Arkansas, which is pretty close to where I'm from. The story itself has actually stuck with me for years since I heard it the very first time. Morgan Nick was born to Colleen Nick in Alma, Arkansas in September of 1988. Morgan Nick was a beautiful, blonde-haired, blue-eyed little girl who was born in Alma, Arkansas to Colleen Nick. She, her brother, and her little sister, as well as her parents, lived in Ozark, Arkansas, which is about 30 miles away from Alma. When she was very, very smart, and she had a vivacious personality. From what it sounded like, she brought joy to her entire family and pretty much everyone around her. Her mother said that when Morgan was little, she was shy, but she had a very bold personality. She had a kitten named Emily, who she told her parents they were going to adopt, and she was going to take it home, even though her parents weren't really interested in having a kitten. She loved apples, and she thought bubblegum was its own food group, according to her mother, Colleen. And Colleen says now, when she reflects on Morgan, she thinks of her big belly laugh. According to her mother, Colleen, Morgan wanted to make people laugh and help others. She wanted to become a circus performer and a doctor when she grew up. At the age of 6, Morgan joined the track team at her school in Ozark. However, after one day of being on the track team, Morgan decided she didn't like to get sweaty and decided to join the Girl Scouts instead. It seems that Morgan brought life to her family all the time. She was the glowing star to her mother, Colleen, and she was the eldest of 3, a firstborn, and just a beautiful, beautiful girl. On June 9th, 1995, however, everything changed for the Nick family when Morgan disappeared from a ballpark in Alma, Arkansas. On June 9th, 1995, Morgan Nick disappeared from the Woodford Ballpark in Alma, Arkansas, 30 miles away from her hometown in Ozark, Arkansas. That day was like any other day, Colleen said. She stated that Morgan and her siblings played most of the day. They had grilled cheeses for dinner, and then, on the urging of one of Colleen's friends, Colleen and Morgan decided to load up and drive the short 25-minute drive to Alma to watch her child play in a Little League baseball tournament. Morgan and her mother had never been to this baseball park before. However, they were excited to go participate in this Little League ball tournament. As Colleen sat with her friend, Morgan met up with 2 other friends at the baseball park. Behind the baseball park, there was a small hilltop area, which was very close to the parking lot, where lots of kids seemed to play. When Morgan noticed this, she asked her mother if she could go to this area to play and catch fireflies with 2 friends, an 8 and a 10-year-old. Colleen was a little skeptical at first and didn't want Morgan to go because it was getting dark outside and she hadn't been to this area before. However, after a little coaxing from Morgan and Colleen's friend, Colleen decided it was okay to let Morgan go play because kids played there all the time. Morgan and her 2 friends played on top of the hilltop for about an hour before coming back down to the baseball park. At about 10:45, the other children came back to where Colleen was sitting, and Colleen asked where Morgan was. But the kids just said she was emptying sand out of her shoes next to Colleen's Nissan Stanza. However, when Colleen turned to look, Morgan was nowhere to be seen. Just like that, Morgan was gone. After a quick search of the ballpark, Colleen called the Alma police station. The police department was there in a few moments, being that the police station was only a block away from the ballpark to begin with. Within minutes of Colleen's call to investigate, Alma police responded immediately. Police did search the area. However, no trace evidence was found and no physical evidence was found. There were several witnesses who said they saw a man in his early 20s to late 30s who was about 6 foot tall. Witnesses did notice a man speaking with the children. However, it didn't seem anything out of the ordinary. He was leaning against his red Ford. This man would actually become the main suspect in the case. However, this man has never been identified. You can see his composite drawing here. When Morgan went missing, she was wearing blue jeans, a green and white Girl Scout shirt, and white tennis shoes. Due to the location of Alma, it's completely possible that Morgan was already out of the town and on the interstate headed into a different state, such as Oklahoma or Texas. Colleen stated that now looking back, she realizes that it's possible that the Alma Police Department really didn't know what they were doing in regards to how to handle a missing child that quickly. I don't think she means that in a negative. I do think, however, it speaks to the training that the Morgan Nick Foundation, which we'll discuss in just a second, has done for police stations across the U.S. Russell White, the chief of police for Alma, Arkansas PD, says that the lack of physical evidence as well as the lack of witnessing to the actual abduction is what makes this case so hard to solve. He also stated that he believes that what truly makes this case so hard to crack is that it's a simple crime. It's not a conspiracy. There weren't a lot of people involved. The person that committed this was likely a loner, and he's never told anyone about the crime. While the case is over 20 years old, a lot of information hasn't been released in regards to the investigation of the case because it remains open with the FBI and the Alma Police Department to this day. During the investigation, a $60,000 reward has been offered for the prosecution or capture of anyone involved in the Morgan Nick disappearance. However, at this point, no reliable suspects have ever turned up in the case. Unfortunately, due to this being an open investigation, not all the details of Morgan's case have been released. In fact, false confessions have also been a problem. In the state of Indiana, a man who was incarcerated admitted to kidnapping Morgan. However, when questioned by police and the FBI, the man had no connection to Morgan and didn't know anything about her. It's still unclear why the man decided to give this false confession. In 2010, a Spiro, Oklahoma property was investigated in relation to the Morgan Nick disappearance. However, after searching the property, there wasn't any new evidence that was brought forward. While this was a huge crushing blow for Morgan's family, it didn't end there. In 2012, a woman by the name of Tanya Smith was arrested for identity theft for pretending to be Morgan Nick. It appeared to the local PD that she was trying to obtain Morgan's birth certificate for reasons unknown. The woman was convicted of the charges and received 6 years probation and a $2,500 fine, as well as a mental test to see if she truly thought she was Morgan or if she was up to something else. The case from here pretty much went cold. There wasn't much information that went in or out, and while Morgan's face was still plastered across billboards in Arkansas, the nation seemed to have forgotten about the 6-year-old who went missing from the ballpark. In 2017, however, the same Spiro, Oklahoma property came up again, this time in regards to a well that was located on the property. The LaFleur County Sheriff's Department, along with the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation, dug on the property for over 10 hours to no avail. Nothing at this point has been brought forward that was found, but they do believe that there is some connection to the Morgan Nick case. In 1996, a year after Morgan's disappearance, her mother started the Morgan Nick Foundation. In Arkansas, the Amber Alert has taken the name the Morgan Nick Alert. The Morgan Nick Foundation provides assistance to families who have missing children, as well as providing education for teachers, parents, law enforcement, and children on what to do when something like this happens. Our goal is to teach communities about safety skills and preventing children from going missing. The Morgan Nick Foundation has been fundamental in helping the Center for Missing and Exploited Children lobby for new laws to help protect children in the U.S. The Morgan Nick Foundation was instrumental in passing Megan's Law and in passing the federal mandate that was presented by President Clinton for missing children. As of today, Morgan Nick would be 29 years old. An artist sketch from the Center of Missing and Exploited Children shows her here. As of now, Morgan has been missing for 23 years, but her parents don't give up hope. Colleen says that love always hopes, and that she still believes one day Morgan will come home. She also won't stop fighting until she has answers. If you have any information about the disappearance or the whereabouts of Morgan Nick, please contact the number in the description below. I would love suggestions from you guys, so definitely leave a comment in the section below. That way I can investigate something that you're interested in and that I'm interested in.